Hello, darlings. Grab your strongest brew, because today we're peeling back the gilded wallpaper to expose the real drama festering behind those palace gates. Forget the polite curtsies and stiff upper lips. We're talking a seismic shake-up, a royal rumble where the future king, Prince William, supposedly pulled off a move so cunning it would make Machiavelli blush. This isn't just duty. It's survival, baby. It's about a man who clearly knows the difference between family loyalty and institutional suicide. And trust me, you won't miss a single juicy detail. So smash that like button, subscribe faster than a royal aide running from a bad headline, and ding that bell. Your engagement ensures we keep dishing out the unvarnished truth about this gilded cage. Now, for those of you not living under a rock, or perhaps just enjoying blissful ignorance of royal missteps, let's be real. The air around the Windsor clan had become thicker than a forgotten fruitcake. King Charles III, bless his cotton socks, found himself squarely in the crosshairs. The public, bless their demanding hearts, had one simple message: get rid of Andrew. That's right, the Duke of York, or as he's affectionately known, Randy Andy, let's not pretend we don't all call him that, had become less of a royal asset and more of a gaping wound, oozing bad press and toxic associations. They didn't just want him to stop using his military titles. They wanted those honours stripped clean off him like a bad spray tan. And as for public engagements, honey, they wanted him banned from even looking at a ribbon-cutting ceremony. The man was a reputational black hole, dragging the entire monarchy down. The tension was palpable, like a cheap tiara about to snap under pressure. And Buckingham Palace. They were finally forced to acknowledge the stench. And then, oh, the drama! Like a soap opera character finally confessing a secret love child, the palace deigned to respond. October 17th, mark it folks, because that's the day the royals finally admitted they couldn't ignore angry villagers with pitchforks anymore. This wasn't some gentle farewell tour. This was a full-blown institutional intervention, a desperate scramble to keep the whole rickety show from collapsing. Then, the very next day, who should appear but the man himself, Prince Andrew, looking, one presumes, as contrite as a cat caught with its paws in the cream. His personal message, clearly written by a battalion of PR experts, let's be honest, was years in the making, a reckoning so overdue it had cobwebs. He declared, with all the gravitas of a fading movie star, that after extensive discussions, read screaming matches and ultimatums, with King Charles and other senior working royals, aka William, he'd be taking a definitive step back. He was giving up his precious Duke of York title and all those shiny honours, apparently realising that a crown tarnished by scandal is about as useful as a chocolate teapot. Imagine the sheer agony of giving up freebies. It was a seismic shift, all right, proving that even royals occasionally have to choose between their bloated egos and the survival of their ridiculously privileged lifestyle. Now, to truly grasp the monumental, earth-shattering implications of this decision, because obviously Andrew chose this, right? We turn to the grand arbiters of royal wisdom, the commentators. Richard Fitzwilliams, a man whose opinions are clearly as vital as a tiara at a state dinner, helpfully explained to Fox News, because, of course, Fox News, that this wasn't just a good idea, it was a necessity. He declared, with all the dramatic flair of a Shakespearean actor, that without this move, the monarchy would have hit a detrimental tipping point. Imagine, all their lovely philanthropic and ceremonial work, mostly smiling and waving, let's be honest, overshadowed by Andrew's endless parade of sordid details. He warned that anything the monarchy did would have been overshadowed by sleaze. Honestly, the poor dears having their carefully curated image sullied by one of their own. It wasn't just Andrew's personal embarrassment, as if he feels it. It was about the very existence of their plush, taxpayer-funded existence. The horror. Fitzwilliams, clearly enjoying his moment in the sun, then helpfully pointed to the specific event that truly sealed Andrew's fate. Remember that little email? The one that undeniably proved Andrew had been, shall we say, economical with the truth, about his chummy little escapades with the late, lamented Jeffrey Epstein. Yeah, that one. Apparently, once the public realised they'd been fed a steaming pile of royal baloney, Andrew's chances of ever representing the crown again evaporated faster than a prince's integrity. Poof, gone. Fitzwilliams, ever the optimist, breathed a sigh of relief that Parliament wasn't forced to intervene. Because let's face it, the last thing the royals want is pesky politicians poking noses into the structure and funding of their private club. The sheer audacity. So, the palace, under immense pressure, read screaming threats from William, managed to keep the scandal just within their gilded walls. A quiet victory for continuity, indeed, more like a desperate attempt to sweep rotting garbage under the antique rug before the smell became unbearable. But who, pray tell, was the puppet master behind this truly unprecedented, utterly brutal act of institutional cleansing? Enter Hilary Ford, another prominent royal expert, because they're just everywhere, aren't they? Who boldly declared the finger points directly to the heir apparent, Prince William. Ah, William, the strategic genius, the family enforcer, the man who clearly decided his uncle was a bigger liability than a leaky roof during a hurricane. Ford which, with all the certainty of someone who's never actually met William, claims he was the strategic force behind Andrew's permanent royal exit. Imagine the scene. William, cool as a cucumber, looking long-term at the monarchy's viability, while Andrew probably blustered about his rights. This isn't just crisis management, darlings. This is a full-blown generational power play. William, ever the modern man, understands that a monarchy drowning in sleaze is about as appealing as a lukewarm cup of tea. He clearly sees Andrew as a corrosive agent, slowly eating away at that precious public trust, which, let's face it, is the only thing keeping them relevant. So, his intervention wasn't merely personal, it was a constitutional imperative. He's just ensuring that when he finally plops himself onto that throne, the foundations aren't crumbling under the weight of his uncle's questionable past. Goodness, the foresight, the sheer ruthless pragmatism. So, this strategic move by our dear Prince of Wales, it's being hailed as a major victory for the future of the monarchy, which, let's be honest, desperately needed a PR facelift. By finally booting Andrew to the curb, William has cleared the decks, apparently allowing the rest of the royals to go back to their genuine duty, charity and public service, which, we all know, mostly involves opening hospitals and looking vaguely interested. The long-term benefits for William's reign? Incalculable. A clean slate. A monarchy that demonstrates accountability. A novel concept, wouldn't you agree? And a clear message that absolutely no one, not even a prince, is above the standard of conduct required for public life. Unless, of course, you're really useful to the crown, then perhaps a blind eye can be turned. These are the principles William is so valiantly establishing, clearly hoping we'll all forget years of quiet enablement. Now, let's just pause for a moment, shall we, and shed a single solitary tear for the weight of the title Duke of York. Oh, the historical significance, traditionally bestowed upon the monarch's second son. A participation trophy for not being the heir, essentially. And now Andrew, poor lamb, has had to relinquish it. Imagine the indignity. reduced to the status of a private citizen, albeit one with a very fancy address and still related to the king, obviously. It's not like he's suddenly flipping burgers, is it? Those honours he gave up weren't just shiny baubles. They were his last vestiges of official public identity. A complete break, they say, as if anyone will ever forget who he is. It's a bit like a villain in a pantomime suddenly deciding to wear a plain grey suit. We all still know who he is, darling. Oh, to be a fly on the wall during those tense and difficult discussions leading up to October 17th. Poor King Charles III barely warmed his bum on the throne, forced to deal with his deeply sensitive familial issue. A polite euphemism for my brother's a disaster. The agonising choice: protect his dear brother or protect the crown. What a heart-wrenching dilemma, clearly. Andrew's personal statement practically screams negotiated settlement, undoubtedly spearheaded by the pragmatism of the heir, Prince William. Because let's face it, William is the moderniser, the man who wants a slimmed-down monarchy, which naturally means jettisoning any dead weight that costs too much or causes too much embarrassment. Andrew, with his endless controversies, was the poster boy for unnecessary expense or distraction. His mere existence was a drain on resources and goodwill, which, for a monarchy, is like bleeding money and public affection. The swiftness and finality of the action, clearly a sign that the era of tolerance for personal scandal is over. About bloody time. Charles can now focus on his ambitious plans, unburdened by constant demands to banish his brother. And the public? Oh, they're relieved and approved. What a surprise. As if they wouldn't cheer the banishment of a royal embarrassment. Honestly, the monarchy thrives on legitimacy, apparently built on moral authority and perceived integrity. You can practically hear the collective snorts of laughter. But by making this tough choice, which, let's be clear, was forced upon them, the senior royals, with William at the helm, have supposedly reinforced that moral authority. Clearly, he's proven himself an astute political operator within those gilded cage walls, realising that historical entitlement is about as fashionable as last year's hat. He gets it. Contemporary relevance and impeccable conduct are the new currency. His actions scream commitment to a monarchy that serves, rather than one that just exists because, well, they're royal. Andrew's removal isn't just a footnote, it's a giant flashing neon sign in William's ascent to the throne. It screams to the world that the future king is willing to make necessary sacrifices. Oh, the deep personal agony to ensure the survival and prosperity of his future kingdom. Because, obviously, the crown is greater than any individual, especially one who can't keep his flies zipped or his stories straight. So, in conclusion, darling, it was a perfect storm. The rabid public, the ever-so insightful experts like Fitzwilliams, and the oh-so-strategic foresight of Prince William all converged to finally put Andrew in his place on October 17th. The spectre of sleaze, a polite term for Andrew's entire existence that threatened to engulf the monarchy, has for now been successfully managed. All thanks to William's long-term vision, of course. This victory means one less massive liability for the crown and, apparently, sets a powerful precedent for accountability. Let's see how long that lasts. It ensures a smoother, more reputable path for Charles, and eventually for the glorious reign of William V. Honestly, it gives us so much to reflect upon regarding tradition and modernisation in this most scrutinised of families. What do you think of this decisive, ruthless move? Was William right to finally put his foot down on his problematic uncle for the good of the crown? Tell us all your juicy thoughts below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and join us for our next deep dive into the utterly fascinating, complex, and utterly ridiculous world of the British royals. Ta-ta for now, darlings.